I can't even believe the show's almost over. So we have to get to our next guest. Oh, this is another one. This one hits me. This one hits me really hard, actually. So I want to welcome our next guest. Sabrina Johnson is a mother of two from the Chicago suburbs. Her world and the world of her family was turned upside down with three letters that no one ever wants to hear: ALS. Sabrina turned her stubbornness of always needing to have the last word in an argument into an argument with the disease. Her father was diagnosed with ALS in 2017, and in that moment, she went from daddy's girl to daddy's voice. Please welcome Sabrina Johnson. Hi,
Hi.
Sabrina. Hi.
Thank
Oh,
you so
there's
much
that.
for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. There was that beautiful picture of your dad
Yes,
that
thank you.
and oh my gosh. I don't even know where to begin. I have so many things I want to say to you. Let me just start by saying, I wish I would have met you so much sooner. I don't know why it took us this long to meet each other.
I agree. I absolutely.
Oh, I already adore you. Well, so I was looking up your website. We have so many things to talk about. I want to get into this. I'm gonna admit it. I don't cry much, hardly ever. I'm kind of an ice queen. I was sitting in my bed, ugly tear crying. this one, this one hit me. I don't know. Oh my gosh, I don't know if it reminded me of my friend. I don't know what was going on, but I was crying some ugly tears here because this is one of those moments where you just feel there are so many things in life that we don't understand and we will never understand. And people being diagnosed, families, loved ones, and like I said, it's always the good people. It's always the best people that are being given this battle, and I don't even understand it, but something amazing is coming out of this, and you have done so many amazing things out of this. So before we dive into all that, tell me about your dad. Tell everybody about this story.
Sure. So he was the most stubborn South Side Chicago man you would ever meet in your life, but the most amazing father. And I think that's why I kind of decided to fight so hard, was because he was such an amazing dad that the daughter in me wants to flip that role. So growing up, um, I was sick as a child, and he was the type. Hi, Thor. He was the type of
And
dad that
like
dropped,
how much
yeah,
they love you.
yeah, dropped everything for me, for my younger brother. My dad worked nights, lived off of two naps basically to work and take care of my brother and I. And so, him, when he got sick, the instinct in me was to do the exact same and to just take care of him. And so in his passing, it took a little bit of time for me to accept and realize and come to terms. And then I had that like aha moment. And I was like, wait a second, just because he's not here doesn't mean I can't fight for him. And I'm kind of like that. Once you put your mind to something person, I'm like all or nothing. So you're either going to get all of me or you're going to get nothing of me. And I just have decided that I'm going to go full force with this and continue sharing about him, especially with I have two little boys, a 6-year old and a 2-year old. And one of the biggest things that I want them to see is that he's still here through me and through them, and in positive ways. I don't want them to ever look back on the memories of it being a sad thing, or that it was always just a papa passing. I want them to see him as who he was, and who he was my dad and their grandpa. And that's what I want to continue with this. I never want him to be just seen as the person with ALS. And I know he wouldn't want to be remembered that way. So I feel like the way I can stop that is by continuing his story and fighting for that, as a way for people to kind of remember that people with ALS are people first. And just because they might have a wheelchair or use walkers and all of those things, they're still people. They still are somebody's somebody. And that's why sharing stories and spreading awareness has become so important to me, because while he might not be here with us, there is somebody who is still here with us. And that's who I want to fight for, is that person.
I love that. I like it's true. You are out there fighting for the somebodies of the world. And we need that. And we need all of you that are watching this to jump on board with that too, because you said it's somebody's father, it's somebody's mother and brother and sister and cousin and uncle. And they need a voice. They need a louder voice. They need people shouting from the rooftops that we need to give attention to this disease and we need to find a cure. You called your dad Tone. I love
Yeah.
that. So I'm gonna read. This is straight off your website because I
Mhm.
just it was like a gut punch reading all of these things. So you say in there, Tone's voice stopped so that mine could open. My voice opened for those with ALS. My voice got louder. My understanding stronger. That there are people out there sitting exactly where I was on November 28th, 2017, when we heard the doctor say, "I'm sorry, but you have ALS." The three little letters that changed your life. So take me back to November 28th, 2017, when that diagnosis came. What was going through your head, through your dad's head? What was happening in that moment?
Um, a lot. So we knew something was wrong. So parts of me kind of felt relieved because we kind of got an answer. So the type A ness of me was like, okay, perfect. We know what's wrong. We can figure this out. We can plan. We can make a plan. Let me go home and like figure all this out. So I liked that. I liked knowing what was wrong. The daughter in me was crushed, and I'm the oldest of two. And so I feel like I've always had the instinct in me of taking care of people. So I felt like, okay, I need to put on that brave face for everybody in the room. Because if I crack, my brother cracks. If my brother cracks and I crack, my mom cracks, and then everything falls. So it it really hit me later that night when I was reading a little bit more about it and could start to comprehend, and I just kept every time I'd Google it, I'd try and search something else to see, like, maybe this website will tell me it's not terminal. Maybe this website will tell me it's not. And all I kept reading was a life expectancy of 2 to 5 years. And I'm sitting there at the time with a 2-year-old and thinking, at most, I have 5 years left with my dad. I'm not even 30. I have one child. Do I want more? Do I not? Where is life going to go? And so it was just kind of like a rush of emotions, standing still. And then we didn't even get 5 years. We didn't even get 2 years. So it kind of had like a whirlwind of emotions put into a time frame where everything felt like, okay, I want to live the rest of my life with my dad in as little bit of time as we can without it being strictly about him being sick, which was a hard balance to figure out for a little bit.
And did you, I mean, how did he spend those last times with you and the family?
So so Thor, my oldest, and I started going down to my parents every Wednesday. So we live about an hour and a half from my parents. So we started doing that. My brother started going on Tuesdays. So we made sure that somebody was always kind of around, something for him to look forward to, and to just kind of, we wanted to make it also as like normal too as we could, where it wasn't so like out of the blue, all of a sudden we're around all of the time, because we knew he was the type that he didn't want that. So we were trying to also respect what he would want, and he would not want us all of a sudden 7 days a week we're all just staring at each other. So trying to find that good balance of what was right for everybody. So my son and I started doing like our weekly visits and kind of keeping up with that, trying to make like a little bit more of like special moments and that type of stuff. Um, and just kind of taking some of those extra times, before maybe we'd leave right after dinner, if we'd go over there for dinner, maybe staying an extra hour, trying to re- hold on to those moments a little bit more as time would time would go on. But the good thing is, like, we were always extremely close. So the nice thing was, it it wasn't like we were faking it, and so that was something I kind of enjoyed in that moment, was our relationship, if anything, got just stronger because we've always been close, and now we are kind of put in a situation to continue that and to continue to like bond through our sadness. So I've always appreciated my relationship with him, and I am glad that we are kind of able to have the last couple years to like grow together as well. And him watching me as a mom, that type of stuff, I'm glad that he got to have those moments with me as well.
I love that. And yeah, I know it was precious because you guys at that point really are spending every moment like it's the last. So
Mhm.
that's amazing. And what you've done since then has been so incredible. So I'm just so impressed by you because you've taken this story and all the things you've learned throughout your father's journey with ALS, and you've got this really great section on your website that talks about the things you wish you would have known. So the resources you wish you would have known, and I love that you're sharing that with everyone going through this. Um, so tell me about maybe one or two of the things that would have been really helpful that now you know, and you can bless other families with that knowledge. What are the most crucial things about dealing with ALS? Some resources that are really helpful.
So the first thing that comes to mind, like one thing I wish we would have done right away, was birthday cards, anniversary cards. I wish right away we would have had my dad write out a bunch of birthday cards. Like even just sign his name right away, store them for a later date.
Mhm.
Um, but when you're in that moment, you always think you have time. And I remember even saying to my mom, like, "Oh, we have time for that. We could do that later." And you don't. And I think that's something that I really wish I would have realized. You never know when that last time is going to be. So, one day their left arm is going to stop working. One day their voice is going to stop. We're all told that from the beginning, but tells you when.
Yeah.
And that is something that I kind of wish I would have known. I not known, but reflected on a little bit more, was not necessarily knowing what was happening, but also n- realizing that the timeline of it is something that to not wait for certain things. Or I wish I would have, um, with certain even like resources, reached out sooner for things. Like the ALS Association was amazing with loaner chairs, with um, we had like a loaner wheelchair, we had a loaner like lazy boy that helped sit my dad up, which was so amazing because it was something that our patient care coordinator Peggy reached out to us about, which was so amazing. And that was something that I've been forever grateful for her, because she told us about so many resources, where I feel now, being on the outside looking in, there's so many people that don't know about resources that are out there. So that's why I like try and push that at people, where I'm like, do you know what's there? Like, let me show you what's available, because there are so many amazing resources that are available to people. And I just don't want people to struggle, especially financially, with things when they don't have to, and they have an amazing association, amazing support system that is there to help them.
It is true. When that diagnosis does come, it's sort of this whirlwind. Everything is going on. There's so many emotions. There's so much on your plate to handle, and the ALS Association helps you with that. Like you said, Peggy, there's so many great care
Mhm.
coordinators that take all of that off of your plate. They
That
get the resources. They get you the financial help to get this equipment for free. They are there to really hold your hand and walk you through this because the focus is on you. You know, you spending time with your dad, you doing the things that are most important, and let the ALS Association really help you with the nuts and bolts of everything.
Absolutely, and it was really nice to have kind of like that one-stop shop that for my mom, she could make one phone call and ask like, "Okay, what do we do in this situation? Where do we," and people were figuring it out for her. And so that was really nice because you do have to think quickly and things do have to change at a very fast rate. And so it's so nice to be able to have an amazing team that's willing to work just as fast, if not faster, to help you and your family get everything that you need as fast as you need it.
It's so true. We are. I knew this was going to happen. I love talking to you. We're starting to run out
Yeah.
of time. Before we go, there's a couple more things I want to get to real quick. Munch Madness. This is so exciting. And tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So Munch Madness is going on right now that the ALS Association, we're doing a which area around Chicago, which Chicagoland area can fight hardest for a cure. So we just had one restaurant in Joliet on the 1st. On March 4th, there is Bueno Beef in St. Charles that is going to, if you mention ALS, a portion of that order is going to be donated. On March 10th, it is going to be the Gurney location of Chipotle. And then on March 23rd, there are three locations of Lou Malnati's, the Grays Lake, Buffalo Grove, and River North. That if you follow the ALS Greater Chicago chapter on Instagram and Facebook, have posted all of the events, and just by mentioning the codes that are posted on there, are also going to be donating a portion of all of the orders to the association this month.
I love that. And Kendra, I second that. She
Yeah.
texted me that she loves to eat so much. I'm jazzed for this event. Me too. And you are mentioning all of some of my favorite restaurants.
I was like, this is like 3 meals I don't have to cook this month, so I am sold.
Exactly. So for anyone in the area, for all of you Illinois folk, if you check out
Yeah.
this restaurant, check out the list. It'll be on alsachicago.org as well, and you can hit those restaurants on those dates, and they are donating a portion to the chapter because again, you have now seen why it is so important to donate to help out, and why not get to eat for the ALS Association, my favorite thing in the whole world.
Yes,
Um,
it's a win-win.
it is such a win-win. And before I let you go, I'm going to steal one more question from you.
Mhm.
Uh, Another fun thing that you are doing, because so I'm going to stick your website up there. So you have really turned into a huge, amazing ALS advocate that is out there
Oh,
on the
thank
front
you.
line, just doing so many great things for this cause and keeping your father's memory alive. There it is. Yep, Sabrina Johnson Advocate.com. You guys check it out. She's got so many great resources. If you know someone who was diagnosed, direct them here as well as the alsachicago.org website, because Sabrina's got some really amazing resources and she can help you through this process. She has been there herself. But you also touch on your website about speaking to children with ALS. And
Mhm.
I'm really intrigued by this because it is true. It is such a horrible disease and there's a lot of bad things that happen with it that aren't exactly something you want to sit down and talk to kids about. So how do you explain this? You had been a young baby at the time, you have more kids now. How do you explain ALS to children?
Yes, it was a tough one. So, Thor was 2.5 when my dad was diagnosed and was 4 when he passed. So my husband and I definitely had to figure out, tough conversations to have with a child that was hard for us as adults to even comprehend. We learned right away that honesty was the best thing that we could do, and just turning what we knew as adults into ways that they could comprehend it was the easiest. So we always referred to it as Papa's bad bug, and that he had this bad bug that, um, as he started to use a walker and a wheelchair, was his bad bug stopped his legs from working. And we just, as everything started to change, we would explain it to him. And if he asked a question, we never would lie. We would never hide it. We would always explain it in a way that we felt a child could understand, because he was seeing it firsthand. He was seeing it weekly just as much as I was seeing it. So I always felt that explaining it, I would want it to be explained to me. And so I wanted to treat him the same way. When my dad had his feeding tube put in, we let Thor feed my dad just like we would and explained everything to him and why. So we kind of use like the first then method with things of first this is what happens and then this is what's going to happen. And for Thor then it just kind of became like this is Papa. He thought nothing really of it, and I loved that. I loved that for him it was just Papa was in a wheelchair, and we when we take Papa, we take this van. So we just learned that treat children the way that you as an adult would like to be treated, and it's better off for everybody in the long run then, because the worst thing that I feel like I could do as a parent is to lie to my child because I'm lying to myself. And I wanted him to see all different types of emotions as well, because we're all going to show emotions in life. So with feeling emotions and acting with different emotions, it was very important for me to show him when we were sad or what we were feeling in children's realms of comprehending things. Um, we had great talks at the end about what was going on and where, like Papa's breathing was changing or when he started having different machines around. And so we just tried to really sit down and also give him the chance to ask questions as well and to just answer them because they're curious, and being as calm as we could be answering them and not being angry if they're acting out when something's going on, I felt like was the best way that we could respond in that situation. Because just like as us for adults, we're all confused and we're all upset in the moment. So also giving them that time to comprehend and to show their confusion as well, and letting them ask what's going on in their mind, I felt like was the best way for us to kind of get through it as a family.
Oh, I want to end on Sabrina. Can you maybe give me one of your father's favorite quotes or life lessons that we can end on in memory
Oh,
of?
trying to think of one I can say on TV.
Oh,
No, the one that I would say that what comes to mind would always be that you need to cook low and slow. So if you're cooking anything, you can't rush perfection. You just can't do it.
straight from Tone himself. Yeah,
Straight
you're
from Tone's
cooking
mouth to yours.
low and slow. Maybe this month don't cook. Go out for Munch Madness and hit some of those restaurants. But come April, when you guys are back in the
Absolutely.
kitchen cooking, take Tone's advice.
Yeah, drive low and slow to all the Munch Madness locations and think of Tone as you eat some fine Chicago pizza on the 23rd.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I'm going to stick this up there one more time, guys. Check out SabrinaJohnsonAdvocate.com. Reach out to her. She's there for you as a resource as well. If you have any questions, she's happy to share. And if you guys have any events that you would love to have an advocate come out and speak on behalf of, Sabrina is great with ALS advocacy and education. So thank you so much,
Yeah.
Sabrina. I'm so
Thank
happy
you. Hope you have a great night. Bye, everybody. Good to
you
see
too.
you.
Bye.
Bye.